There's not one guy, one person in the history of this program that's bigger than the program.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
Oh, what's up, everyone? Welcome into episode number 81 of the Program Guys podcast. My name is Mason Prince, joined you as always by Ryan Tyson, Mark Hall, Matt Gann, Patrick Kurtzberger. Today is Wednesday, July 26th. Be sure to like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. We keep inching closer and closer to 1,700 subscribers. Help us hit that number. We are trying to get 2,000 subscribers by the beginning of football season. And folks, we're not that far away. You can follow us on Twitter at Program Guys with a Z, our Instagram, Program Guys with a Z, our Facebook page, Program Guys Podcast. You can find us on TikTok at Program Guys. You can find us on Threads on Program Guys. Are we still posting the Threads, Patrick?
Sure
Is it
are.
still live?
We sure are, yeah.
I was curious if Threads was still a thing.
I'm not gonna lie, I was slacking on the Threads a little bit, but we're back.
Okay.
We're good.
All
yeah.
right. All right. And Patrick's been putting out some fire TikTok content. If you follow us on TikTok, you can see all that as well. You can get us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all that good stuff. Gentlemen, how are we living? Some technical difficulties for the kids once again, but we're all here. We're all thriving. I believe we're 37 days away. 38 as of Wednesday, Patrick?
Yeah.
Okay. 38 days away from the start of football season for the University of Oklahoma. And I'm excited. I'm ready to go. Training camp open for a lot of NFL teams on Tuesday. A lot of walk-up vids to respective camps. Shout out Bobby Evans, the new Minnesota Viking. Ryan Tyson, how we living?
I'm living great, baby. I actually didn't even know that Bobby Evans was a Viking, so that's how out of touch I've been
happened today.
Recently.
Yeah, it happened today.
Today.
There we go.
Today
Well,
isn't
I'm
Tuesday.
excited about it. So
Okay. Matt Gann, how you doing?
But the dog's days of summer are almost done. We're officially almost into August, one of my favorite months. No bias here, but another day closer to football. What more can you want?
Nothing. Another day, another dollar. Patrick,
That's
Matt,
right.
or Patrick, Mark.
Hey, NFL preseason starts next week. That means we got a little bit of football coming our way.
It's true.
We're so close. We almost made it.
We're almost there. Mark.
Hey, I'm 4 stars better today than I was yesterday. That's
God,
all
what
I
a-
know. That's how
what-
I gauge it.
That's exactly right. 4-star commit for the Oklahoma Sooners on Tuesday. That is offensive lineman Eugene Brooks, 6'3", 325 offensive lineman, 31st best player in California. A very large human. He's a 3-star, 3-star or 4-star, depending on who you ask. Let's just go ahead and call him a 4-star. So Bill Beanbo getting to work. We had, I think it was 2 shows ago, where we asked some Bill Beanbo questions about what is Bill doing? Is he going to get back on the horse? Is he going to get some offensive line commits? And he just got one in Eugene Brooks.
Huge addition. Huge addition. I saw a quote from Brooks today that Bill Beanabo was on the phone calling him every single day. So Bill B wanted this guy to commit to the University of Oklahoma. This marks the 16th commit for the class. And now I think on 3 recruiting, we are a top 15 class so far with only 16 commits. I think that's fairly impressive for the amount of talent coming in and a lot of realistic targets still left on the board. So we could be potentially eyeing another top 10 class here over the next few months, but great addition to the offensive line. Good win for Coach B.
Don't be conservative, Gann. It's not going to be a top 10. It's going to be a top 5 class. Easy. Currently, I think someone tweeted today, if we get all the recruits that we want, we'll be at like 291 points, which puts us right behind Georgia on 247.
that's if we get everybody though.
Yeah, and we're
It's like
going
10 more kids. So that's, I think, a little unrealistic, but I like the
Optimism.
Yeah.
Mark, you're muted if you're trying to make a point. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm 4 stars a great ad. I don't know anything in particular about Eugene Brooks. My sense is, what we've said in the past couple weeks still stands. This wasn't plan A for Bill Beanbo. but here's how you make a plan B work, right? That's recruiting sometimes. Sometimes you lose out on the elite guys and you have to go get someone. If you got to go get someone, a 4-star is not too bad to get. Matt, I think we could definitely sign 10 more guys in this class. I think you look at what's coming up with the party at the Palace. You look at some of the undecideds that are still there that Oklahoma is in on pretty heavily, and consider 1 or 2 wild cards in that mix as well. Easy chance we get to 10. They are resetting the roster still. All of BV's guys that are here are freshmen or sophomores, and he's going to be looking to keep adding bodies. That's what I think.
Ryan?
No, yeah, I mean this is a huge win. We've talked a lot about in the past how our O-line is, recruiting's been tough this year. And I think I agree with everything that Mark said around if you can't get like the top level guys, this one's not bad to get. And he had offers from USC, Georgia, Alabama, I think, like all the big dogs. So like that's great to be competitive in that space, that we're going to need to stay competitive when we move into the SEC. I love that we're stealing people from California under Lincoln Riley's nose, but that's just a petty thing for me. So yeah, I think it's a good, not just a good, I think it's a great addition, and I'm really excited to have him in this class.
6'3", 325. That's what sticks out to me. 6'3", 325 going into a senior year of high school. That's a big body, big human. Expect him to get some looks at guard. I don't know if he has the height to play tackle, but we know how Bill Bedenbaugh likes to move guys around once they get on campus and learn a lot of different positions, different schemes, all of that stuff. But he seems like a perfect fit at guard in my mind.
Everything
Okay.
I've seen is interior offensive linemen, so don't be shocked if Bill wants to see if he can snap the football too.
Gotcha. Another commit that we saw last Friday, 5-star Taylor Tatum. He committed to OU over USC, and who else? Who's the other ones?
Just USC.
No, that was
It was
really all it
mostly
came down to.
USC
It was just the
final
two.
two.
I didn't know if there was.
It's
everyone
Caden
chimed in.
Durham that
Everyone
does
chimed in at the same time.
LSU and A&M. Hey, Matt, I was speaking. Go ahead,
Jeez
Mason.
We all were.
Yeah. So if you didn't get a chance, go check out that EPC we have on our YouTube channel, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that stuff. About 10 good minutes where we talk about how important that signing was. It was immediate reaction as soon as it happened. The guys were on, and Matt, I think who was the only one who wasn't there? Matt, get your Taylor Tatum thoughts in there if you would like.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you guys covered a lot in the EPC itself. So if you haven't watched it, please.
What was your favorite thing we said?
It was great content. I think for me, obviously the win over USC, how we love our bittersweet picks, but getting a guy like this, being the number 1 recruited running back on various sites, is a massive win for DeMarco Murray and company. There's some other guys out there as well, possibly Cam Durham, but we talked about, hey, we'll take both of them, but if we can get one of them, that's going to be a stacked running back class, especially with Xavier coming in right with him. So huge addition to the RB room. DeMarco Murray just keeps on keeping on. Just been a solid recruiter ever since he's been at OU. And this guy, the tape that I've seen and what his ability is reminds me of a lot of different OU players. I won't say specifically one, but I think he's got a good skill set for what OU needs at running back, especially since we just haven't had it since P. Ryan and Joe Mixon.
Great point. Another commitment, Jacob Jordan. He's a wide receiver, preferred walk-on from South Lake Carroll. Played 25 games through his varsity career, recording 112 receptions, 1,695 yards, 20 touchdowns, 5'9", 170. That is according to 247. Also, Avery Ravich. He's a walk-on kicker and or punter. So another one added to the 2024 class as well. Right? 2024?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he's a current student, I think. So
Okay.
walking
Yeah, I
up.
think he's a transfer actually walking on.
Gotcha. Okay.
Or is he current
So-
student at OU, Patrick?
I thought he was a current student. But we'll check.
Hey, if you saw it, you know it, baby.
We'll check.
That's right. Own the sources. Own the
Yeah.
sources.
Own the source, Pat.
Speaking-
you didn't
speaking
speak up
of-
for no reason.
Speaking of sources, we had a massive crystal ball alert from Mark.
Oh no, hold on. Let's talk about these guys first. Let's talk about
Oh,
these
come
guys
on.
first. Don't move on. Don't
Come
move on. I want to talk Jacob Jordan for
Me too.
one
Okay, go
reason real
ahead.
fast. And it's that he is taking a preferred walk-on order or offer despite having scholarship offers from Texas Tech, Tulsa, North Texas. Western Kentucky's an offensive powerhouse. Patriots quarterback Bailey Zappi came from Western Kentucky, and he currently holds the record for passing yardage in college football. So to be a receiver there means putting up numbers, and he's eschewing all of that to come play for Emmett Jones, who actually gave him that Texas Tech offer. The Emmett Jones relationship factor, you're seeing it years in advance build into what guys we're getting now, and that's pretty cool. Hopefully we continue to see stuff like that. I haven't watched any of Jacob, but I saw a quote from the Brent Venables football camp that he was the best route runner they had there. So that's pretty cool. That's all I got on Jacob. I don't really know much about him. In his headshot, he's got that dyed blonde hair. I was never really into that.
Yeah. Patrick.
Yeah, if you can pick up a great wide receiver from South Clay Carroll, it's going to pay dividends, if not with him in the future too, with other recruiting as well.
Good point.
Secondly, with Avery Ravitch, what are we doing with kicking and punting, guys? Like we've brought in some decent transfers from the portal, but we're still not super solid there. It seems. I don't know. Weird pickup to me.
Yeah, it seems to be a job that continues to be in flux, whether you're a punter or a kicker. And that doesn't make you feel good. They're responsible for a lot of points. So hopefully they get it figured out, and I'm sure they will. But it doesn't make you feel good that they keep adding guys to a room that already has guys in it. You know what I mean? Like, you would think that they'd be like, yep, this is our guy. And I don't think they know. I don't think they know who their guy is.
It's interesting.
Brian, anything to add?
No, not really. I think that last comment on the kicker and punter is interesting because we seem to be doing something similar in quarterbacks a little bit with 2024. So, and I know that we're getting later, or we'll get into that later into the pod. So,
For sure. Anybody else before we move on to some crystal balls?
Yeah, before the crystal balls, we have so many kickers coming onto campus because special teams coordinator Jay Nunez got a 150% raise, not 50% raise, 150% raise. And they're going to make him earn every dollar of it. We're going to have a kicker and a backup to the backup, and they're all going to be ready to go.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, exactly. All right, some crystal ball news. Some more crystal balls for Josh Isosa. And OU offered two quarterbacks in the 2024 class. Trevor Jackson, uncommitted. Brendan Zurbrugg committed to Northwestern, so that ain't going to last, obviously, with everything that's going on at Northwestern. But also a crystal ball from our very own recruiting expert, Mark Hall, for a David Stone crystal ball on, what was it, Saturday or Sunday? What day was it?
It was Sunday. It was Sunday. I finally had some answers to some questions on Sunday that you send feelers out and you don't know when you're going to hear back or even what you're going to hear back, right? Exactly. You ask a yes or no and you get a maybe. What can you do, right?
Yeah.
It's not my place to push anyone into a decision they're not ready to make. And I'm not saying a decision's been made, but I certainly felt confident dropping my ball in his favor.
Wow. Big news out of Mark Hall. As we know, folks, 100% crystal ball rate for Mark Hall. 100%.
The Sooner 69ers come to Norman.
He does not miss. So big news. Anybody else on the crystal ball front? I don't have a lot to add on the crystal ball stuff. I mean, just because I just don't. So I'm excited about like the route that they're in, the trajectory the 2024 class is on, But man, when we get towards the end of July and beginning of August, I feel like recruiting in my mind just takes a back seat, and I'm just like ready to go for the actual football that's going to be played on the field. That's me.
We got the biggest recruiting weekend of the month coming up, or of
I
the
know.
summer coming up this weekend.
I know.
So
I know. That's why I have you, though, right? That's why we have you.
We're here.
there you go. There you go.
Exactly.
Should be a lot of big stuff coming in this weekend.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll say
Anyone else?
one quick fun stat that could OU has the potential for. No recruiting class has ever had the number one running back, interior defensive line, and edge. So we have the chance to do that with David Stone and Williams Narari, which will be a big battle, especially between us and Georgia. So that would be a really nice recruiting class if we got those three. It's never been done before.
All right, Matt, say Williams Winery for me real quick.
Williams.
Winery. I just said it for you.
No N.
Yep. I just said it for you.
So I'm psyched about that stat, but doesn't that also feel like when an NBA player goes for 13, 9, and 4 blocks and a half, and they're like, only LeBron and Shaq did this.
Yeah.
It feels picky choosy, but I'd like it.
Dude,
I'd rather it be us than anyone else.
Thanks for the comment, Marta. I really appreciate it.
Dude,
I appreciate you.
I saw a stat today of Georgia's 2024 class. They have like the number 1 quarterback, the number 1 linebacker, the number 2 tight end, and then there was like 2 more number 1 spots. That number 1 safety. They had a number 1 safety and one other position. They had the number 1 overall recruit. And like, it was an On3 tweet. So if you don't believe me, you can go back there and find it. Because I remember it was On3, but pretty wild. I just brought that up because of what Matt said about the number 1s that OU's about to get, but Georgia has just for as good as we think we're doing. Georgia's continuing.
It's a machine.
It's
a machine, man. It's the reason why Patrick had to come up for air after that TikTok landed on Georgia social media pages, man.
That's
it's a
right,
bloodbath down there.
I stand by my statements of Kirby Smart shaking in his boots. I don't know if you guys remember the Sugar Bowl in 2014 where we beat both Nick Saban and Kirby Smart when they were on the same staff together with Trevor Knight. Anything's possible. And it's going to be real sad with Georgia and all these high-profile recruits when they come in or when we go there and Jackson Arnold just flames them up.
The only human beings in the same places as they were in 2014. The only one is Nick Saban. Everyone else, like Bob Stoops was our coach. Kirby Smart was at Alabama.
I like Pat. I like the energy that Pat brings. That's the SEC energy that we need.
Exactly.
Ryan, anything else to add?
No, I think you guys covered it all.
Okay, perfect. Anybody
I
else
love the
before we move
extended
on?
mic check to go.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Anybody else on the crystal balls before we move on? Okay, so I do want to just mention this real quick. This is and we don't have to dive deep into this, but I did think it was interesting. The 247 OU has the most expensive game day experience in the country for fans. Take that however you want to take it, but here's what they mean. The average total cost is $124 a person. 2 tickets, $206. 2 beers, $17. 2 sodas, $10. Parking is $30. So I don't know other big schools were obviously on the list. I know, I don't remember. Oh, do we have it? We have it right here. Thank you. Thank you for whoever put that in. West Virginia, Notre Dame, Texas, Mizzou, Clemson, Mississippi State, UCLA, Georgia, Nebraska were other schools on that list.
Look,
I have no idea how they.
That's fine. It might not be an accurate list, but let's tie this back to our game day experience as fans, not being rowdy enough and not getting enough from the university from a tailgating perspective and an in-game atmosphere. Don't be the most expensive ticket, no matter on any list, no matter how the list is comprised, and then also have a bad in-game experience for the fans.
Bro, have you seen the light show?
Point.
Have you seen
the light show?
Bro, the lights. The lights, bro.
Dude,
All of the lights.
The light show
We
had
just
Ryan
need-
feeling some type of
It
way
really,
last
it really
September,
had
man.
me, and it's gonna do it again too. So just get ready.
It's getting better.
No.
It just needs to continue to get better.
We need to get like the chance up. Yeah, you're right, Pat. We need to get rowdier.
Mhm.
We got to get rowdier. We
We gotta
it's-
get rowdier. And I think it's not just the it's not just the school, right? I think like we're gonna see some changes with some of the tailgating on Lindsay this year. And I think we'll see more changes as we get ready for the SEC next year. But like it's more about the fans themselves. You know, they gotta come committed, right? They're the ones paying this money. They gotta come and they gotta be rowdy, right? It's not just the school that needs to do it.
We also have to talk about this allocation because tickets cost what tickets cost, right? And I can't fight whatever got them to $103 a ticket. I can't push back on that really. What I can do is tell you that in lieu of parking for $30 somewhere, you can find one of the streets back behind like South Creek or North Creek and park your car there and walk back after the game. You can do all of that for free. What I can tell you is that you don't need 2 sodas. What are you doing buying 2 sodas for? There aren't kids with you. You have 2 tickets. What are you doing? Get rid of those 2 sodas. That's another $10. That's $40 right there that you just saved because you listen to the program, guys. Here's another one for you. 2 beers for $17. My friend, take that 17, add it to your 40. 57 will get you a lot longer than 2 beers at Logie's.
That boy.
I knew that was coming.
Logies on Campus Corner.
I knew it was coming.
We're not sponsored yet, but
No,
it's just
not
the
yet.
best bang for your buck. You can get
100%.
anywhere and you're going to save money. You're going to have a great time. Maybe you even sell your tickets because someone else wants to go and you've had too good of a time at Logie's. It's not
True.
the worst thing in the world. Make some money back.
Let us know down below in the comments. Do you think OU's game day experience is too expensive? What's your experience like with the OU game day atmosphere? Do you think we need to be more rowdy? We read every single one of your comments on our YouTube channel. Helps us out more than you know. So, boys, new segment alert. Matt Gann, new segment alert.
Hello, it's time.
What the hell was that?
I love it. I love that.
I like
switch it
it. I like it. You switched it up. You taking
switch it up.
coaching. Taking
That's
coaching.
right.
I like it.
Yeah,
So
constructive feedback. That's right.
that's right. So we thought it would be interesting as we get inch closer to the season to ask the question, if this season goes very well and say OU makes it to the college football playoffs, why does that happen? And everybody's going to get a chance to answer. On the flip side of that, after we get done with that, if this season goes off the rails and yet another 6-7 season is on the horizon, what happened during the season to get us to that point? So we'll start off with, how did we get to the playoff? What had to happen for us to be performing so well to get there? And then we'll go with the bad. So I want to start with Ryan. Ryan, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think this all comes down to defense. And I think as we've seen the past couple of years, not saying Georgia's offense was not good. We saw what they did against TCU last year in the championship, but really it was all about their
is my Heisman.
it was all about their defense. It was all about their defense. And I think that if we do super well, blow everybody's expectations out of the water, I think it's because we've gone from one of the worst defenses in college football last year to one of the absolutely tip-top defenses, and I'm talking like top 5. So like I think that is going to be a requirement in order to get to that stage. I don't necessarily see our offense being able to pull us there without like massive improvement from our defense. So like that is my main like anchor point, is our defense has to be better. And I still believe the defense wins championships, and we've seen that over the past couple of years. So yeah, I think it's got to be on the defensive side.
Hey, Patrick, how do we get to the college football playoff?
Yeah, I'd have to disagree, Ryan. We've had bad defenses in the past and we've made it to the playoffs. So my thinking of
But we've
how
also had Heisman winning quarterbacks.
sure. If we make it to the playoffs, it's because of our run game. And let me take you back to 2019. This season reminds me a lot of 2019, where we didn't have defined running backs headed into the season. We were relying on TJ Pledger and Seth McGowan, which is probably the reason why we dropped early games that year against Kansas State and Iowa State by 1-score games. If Javonte Barnes and Gavin Sawchuk are the guys that we think they are, those 1-score games will go our way, and we need to punch the ball and run the ball. And if those guys are who we think they are, our run games is what's going to take us to winning 10, 11 games and getting us to the playoffs. 11 games.
Love it. Mark Hall, how do we get there?
So I'm taking for granted a little bit of improvement on the defense. I think that another year of coaching under Venables, I saw a quote out of Danny Stutzman that was something like, I'm looking at Lewis Carter and teaching him everything I know along the way. He didn't have that last year. There's so much more osmosis happening over there. So I'm assuming a little bit of benefit there. Let me get on to what makes us the kind of Big 12 champion in our final season, college football playoff participant. To me, it's Emmett Jones coming in and having an immediate effect on the plethora of talented receivers that we have. We just don't know who it is yet. And that lands us with 3,000-yard receivers, and Dylan Gabriel leads the Big 12 in passing. I think if those two things happen, and I'm counting in that defensive improvement, right, that's what takes us to the next level. What does Jeff Lebby say about his offense? Score from far. We brought in two guys with 100-meter dashes that could put him on college track teams yesterday. They're going to be running fast. We've got Jaden Gibson at 6'5". We've got Nick Anderson at 6'4". We've got JJ Hester at 6'4". We've got big bodies we can put outside, run the offense the way Jeff Lebby wants to run it now. And I haven't even mentioned Jaleel Farouk, the presumed number one receiver. I think there's a lot of potential there. And that's how we go from second place in the Big 12, like odds makers have us right now, to over the top, is perfecting that offensive strategy.
Matt Gann.
Well, that was incredible, Mark. I want to believe you. But for any of those things that you guys just mentioned to happen, it has to start with the guys in the trenches. And I'm talking about the offensive line and the defensive line. The offensive line has to open up the run game, open up those gaps, but they also have to protect DG. If we are going to have 1,000 receivers, he's going to need the time. Offense is going to have more question marks this year than I think on the defensive side of things, but the offensive line has to set the tone, has to set the attitude if this team is going to go over the top. And on the other side, the defensive side, we could not get off the field last year because we did not create any pressure and gave up way too many third down conversions. The D-line has to play tremendously well getting pressure, because we did lead the league in tackles for losses, but not enough sacks, not enough plays behind the ball to continue to force them behind the chains and get off the field, especially if the offense is going to continue to run that high tempo offense. OU is the fourth fastest offense with an average time of possession of about 26 minutes. That means your defense is going to be on the field quite a bit, and they're going to have to find a way to get stops. Starts with the defensive line and the offensive line for me.
Great point. For me, how we get to the playoff and how this team goes to what Ryan and Patrick were saying about how we had defenses that were bad, but we still made the playoff. And Ryan made the point, well, it's because of the quarterback play. And Ryan's 100% right. If the defense isn't up to snuff, Dylan Gabriel is going to be the one who carries them there. So I think OU gets to the playoff if Dylan Gabriel has a Heisman caliber season. I'm not saying he's got to win it. I'm saying he's got to be in New York and ready to go, because this team will not be able to go as far unless Dylan Gabriel is that guy and proves to be one of the best quarterbacks in the country. That's just the way I see it. Also, I had another note. Dang it, my phone. I'm falling apart over here. Also, we lead the Big 12 in defense. That's another way. So the defense, I think, will improve once again. They'll continue to get better, more comfortable and preventable scheme. You'll be led by a group of very good linebackers, fronted by very dominant defensive linemen, back-ended by a more experienced, more explosive, more athletic secondary. I think this team has the pieces to win the Big 12. No doubt in my mind about that. Will they make it to the playoff? Remains to be seen. On the flip side,
Mason,
yes.
before we do that,
Yeah.
I just got to ask you,
Yeah.
what is more likely to you?
Okay.
Dylan Gabriel ends up in New York as a Heisman finalist, or Jackson Arnold finishes the season as OU starting quarterback?
I think it's more likely
that's not what this is. That's not what this is.
I
Right?
know.
That's not
Yeah.
what we're talking about. But
Yeah.
I'm just, it made me
No.
think of it.
I think it's more likely that Dylan ends the year in New York, because I don't think, because if you get in a situation where Jackson Arnold needs to come in, do you really want to put him into a situation like what this offense would be? Because you bench Dylan, then that if you bench Dylan, the offense isn't performing the way you need to. So do you think a freshman quarterback coming in, a true freshman quarterback, is going to fix that? I love Jackson Arnold more than the next guy, but we don't know what we got yet. We haven't even had a fall camp yet. You know what I mean? We barely saw him in the spring game. So maybe just give him some time to develop, in my mind. So that's the answer to your question. That's what's more likely in my mind, but I can see where you're coming from. Here's hoping that doesn't happen. So
I'm with you.
Okay, Patrick,
You're on mute, baby.
One more thing I've been thinking about with DG is he is presumed to be the third best quarterback in the Big 12. Quinn Ewers was shaky AF last year, and Jalen Daniels doesn't have the weapons around him to be the best quarterback in the Big 12. If you don't think Dylan Gabriel's not going to be the best quarterback in the Big 12, you're smoking something, because he's got the weapons to do it and the talent to do it, and I think he's going to do it.
completely
Just to
agree.
clear the record, you could be smoking something and come to a different conclusion too.
Yeah,
But I'm not. That's
People-
the thing.
Dylan didn't perform the way that we needed him to last year. That's no secret to anybody. He still led the Big 12 in a lot of statistical categories. Was number one. He performed very well.
There's a lot of
objectively.
I completely agree.
but football's not all about. I don't want to get into this right now. I don't
No,
think
this
that
is how we have to get into it. Yeah,
like
go ahead.
you can say objective, sure. Let's talk about the numbers and everything like that. I don't think he performed good enough last year. And that is not maybe he was leading, but like we lost like how many games? 7 games by 1 possession. Like it's the difference between like that's the difference right there. Like to me, he didn't have it, like the it factor that we've seen from our Heisman winning quarterbacks, which is a lot to put on one person. I'm very aware of that. But like the things that you guys are talking about, him being like the best in the league, all of those things, he's going to have to show something that he did not show last year to be able to get that moniker, at least from me. So
Is
it's
Dylan
more about
mobile?
it's less it's not just about stats, if that makes sense.
He's more mobile than we saw last season. It'll be very good to see them utilize that. Last year, you couldn't do much because Davis Bevel was your backup, but we saw against, who was it? K-State, someone that he had that long run and it was beautiful. And there's something there. I'll say this though, if he has a season like he had last year, even understanding all of, he led the Big 12 in this, that, or the other. If it's a season like last year on offense, I think we move to Jackson Arnold. I think the leash is shorter this season, personally. But I mean, my undefeated season says he leads the Big 12 in passing yardage. So, we're all winging a prayer here.
So last year, OU lost 7 games. How many of those losses was Dylan Gabriel responsible for?
Texas and TCU.
TCU was a little.
That's awesome.
A little unfair, Pat.
No, I'm saying like we didn't have him, so we lost.
Yeah,
I realize that, but
fair.
also like
I know.
think
I was
of,
answering the question a quirky
I
way.
think
sorry.
of
I know.
Texas Tech. I
I
think of
loved it.
West Virginia. I think of like again. What I'm saying is like I said at the very beginning of this that our defense needs to be like a top 5, right? Our defense was problematic last year, but what you guys like what Pat said, we don't need a great defense unless our quarterback is going to be kind of like that it factor Heisman that can like take us over the edge. We absolutely do. So like, I'm not saying every single one possession loss was Dylan Gabriel's fault, but if he played better and was more elite, we might have won several of those just on his talent.
Sure.
We all thought we were going to get a little bit more immediately. I don't think that that's unreasonable to say because I can pull up the receipts. I know we were all calling for some.
For sure.
You guys should hear the way Patrick Hertzberger was talking about Dylan Gabriel this time a year ago. Man. And third downs are a problem. Like we have these issues, right? Decision making is an issue, and some of that comes down to Jeff Lebby too, but
accuracy.
We don't have access to that balance necessarily. Ideally, we optimize everything this season. We're able to utilize his legs a little bit more, and we score from far.
Yep. All right. So let's move on to the flip side of this. The wheels come off. The Sooner schooner is burning. What happened to get us to that point? Patrick, I'll start with you.
Yeah, at first I was going to say if we go 6-6 again, it's because we weren't playing complementary football. But I think I'm going to take it a step further and just blame the offense on going too quickly, right? It just leads to the defense being on the field way too much. It's giving their defense more rest than our defense. There's way too many threes and outs, bad game management. And after a quarter, like the first quarter was always great, but after the quarter, it stopped working. The offense moves too quickly, and we need to figure out a different rhythm, in my opinion.
So to be clear, Patrick, what you're basically saying here is offense moving too quickly, but not actually capitalizing.
Sure.
Like if they're capitalizing, it doesn't matter how fast they're moving. Is that kind of like what you're saying?
We don't know that because we don't know how the defense will adjust.
Okay.
Fair enough. Okay. Ryan, what happens?
Okay. So my first one here is DG doesn't improve. I'm not like the biggest DG fan. I think I've been that pretty evidently over this pod over a while. And I'm expecting him to improve this year. He needs to, like I've talked about already. If he doesn't, and I have a second thing here, very, very specific to the defense, but if our defense can't wrap up tackles, because this is something that has been obnoxiously annoying over the past 5 years. And it's something we saw that we thought was going to change last year and really didn't, where we consistently let people get yardage after contact. And like, we have to stop doing that. So, I mean, this is kind of like the complete flip of like what I said on like how we would get to the playoffs. But like this is basically saying that we have not improved at all from last year, and we're just falling into the same traps that we were falling into last year, including on both sides of the ball.
Matt Gann, what you got?
Mine kind of combines a little bit of everything. I titled mine Different Year, Same Problems. So if we just don't take a step up in pretty much every position group, that includes DG, and we've talked about multiple times, is he a ceiling raiser? Can he take that additional step to be more accurate, to make better plays? But it also comes with, hey, can we continue to be on the field? Can we continue to point points up and the defense to stop people? And those were all problems that we had last year. Even though the offense could put up points on the board, time management, game management was not on our side. Jeff Lebby called some really bad plays in crucial situations. So it's more of just, can we take a step in all the position groups from last year? So now we have the horses, we have the talent. There's no excuses for BV at this point, especially on the defensive side of things. There's no more grace to give. He's got the guys, especially on the defensive side. Everyone's got to take a pretty big step forward. If they don't, defense can't stop anything. Offense is going to continue to get run off the field.
Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, I think that we are all sort of when we're looking at this 10-win projection that we're all sort of hovering around as fans and program guys, we're sort of assuming a lot on the offensive line. And if you've listened to the past few episodes, you've probably heard me sort of get on that. Is last year's offensive line had 2 potential NFL starters as rookies starting on that offensive line, right? So I guess my very specific reason why things failed this season is Walter Rouse doesn't recover from shoulder surgery like we need him to, and Tyler Guyton is not what we've all been led to believe he is. Those are the worst case scenario options because the interior of the offensive line is not the strength. We need to count on it being Walter Rouse and Tyler Guyton at the bookend positions. So that's what I got on that, because I don't think Dylan Gabriel and the backs that we have back there. I mean, Javante Barnes is great. Gavin Sawchuk is great and faster than lightning, but you can't overcome a line of scrimmage that's 2 yards in your face. So that's sort of my thought there is we need a big season out of those guys. And if we don't get it, it's all over.
So for me, there's a problem that could arise on both sides of the ball. The first, I'll start with offense. You become too one-dimensional on the offensive side of the ball. And by one-dimensional, I mean you're going to rely too heavy on the run. You're going to need Dylan Gabriel to be the ceiling raiser like Matt and Ryan are talking about him needing to be. Even with these receivers who don't have a lot of production, let's just call a spade a spade. There's not a lot of production outside of Jaleel Farouk. So let's say Jaleel struggles. Let's say he gets injured. You're relying on a Drake Stoops to be your main guy out there. You're relying on new guys coming into the fold who haven't had a lot of playtime, and Jaden Gibson, Nick Anderson. You rattle off all those receivers that Mark mentioned earlier. If you rely too heavily on the run, defenses just know that if they stop the run, you don't have the horses to outrun their secondary. Like you just can't do it no matter how fast you go, right, Patrick? So then on the defensive side of the ball, we're in trouble if the pass rush just doesn't develop. If they can't get to the quarterback, if that defensive line led by Jonah Laulu, that they are ranting and raving about, and I hope for good reason. And we keep giving. Sorry, it said I was about to raise my hand because I'm talking with my hands and I'm not. So we keep giving Todd Bates and Miguel Chavis tons of credit, which they deserve. They're recruiting very well, but can they develop these guys who are in here right now? If they can't and they don't take a step towards rushing the passer and play like we saw them play against Oklahoma State, how this defensive line played against Oklahoma State, granted, there's different players here now. I understand that. But the defensive line, this defense is going to go as the defensive line goes. So if they can't get to the passer, we're going to be in big trouble. Let us know down below in the comments. Do you agree with us? Do you think we're wrong? What do you think can go wrong or right for OU this season to either put us in the playoff or put us back at a Cheez It Bowl loss? Let us know down below in the comments.
That's what we want is like, give us some good ideas that we haven't thought of. Javante Barnes going for 1,500. That could do it, right?
100%.
Fun.
Anybody else before we move on? Okay. Circle the wagons. Matt, you got anything to add, brother?
Just one quick update. This is for OU men's basketball, getting the number 1 player in Oklahoma, 3-star Dayton Forsythe from Dale, Oklahoma. He is coming in over Oklahoma State and Villanova. So good win for Porter Moser as he continues to deal with a lot of roster turnover. But this is definitely a good addition, keeping an in-state guy going against a good powerhouse in Villanova and a good basketball school in Oklahoma State. So good win for the OU men's basketball team. That is the only update that I have for this week.
Matt, how old is he? Is he 24 or 25?
Who?
Class of 24, class of 25. The Forsyth kid.
24, I believe.
Okay.
I thought you meant 24 or 25.
No, I know.
And I was
I was unclear.
What? Is he from Australia?
He looks like a little boy, man. I know
Very
that,
young.
Like,
yeah.
I know it's different when they're white guys, but man, he looks like a little boy.
He was probably born in like 2005.
I want to go ahead and
How
mention.
old does that make you feel? All of
Yeah.
these kids we're talking about were probably born in 2005.
Very much so. Yeah. I want to go ahead and mention a commenter of the week. I got a commenter of the week, unless you guys have one. If you do, you can add another one. Comment on every single one of our episodes. We might pick you to be our commenter of the week. This one comes from Tijuana Bill. He commented on our EPC. He said, if you want top talent, you need everything. And with new NIL law in Oklahoma, we have everything. We have boosters who had to hold back for 3 decades while others could risk whatever they wanted. But now the checkbooks are out, boys, in a big way. Tijuana Bill, our commenter of the week on YouTube. Like I said, comments on our Twitter, our Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, YouTube, whatever it is, you can be our commenter of the week. Thank you to Bill for the comment as well. All right, boys. So Ryan, giving us a must watch.
Yeah, baby.
Tell me what I need to watch.
I'm gonna make this. I'm gonna make this quick because I believe that over half of our pod has watched this already. So I raved last week about Oppenheimer and Barbie coming to theaters and how it was like it's gonna be one of the biggest movie weekends in the past few years. I'll talk a little bit more about that in my MVP, but I want to specifically give my must watch this week to Oppenheimer. Because I saw Oppenheimer on Saturday. I believe Mason and Patrick have also seen Oppenheimer. I do not know yet about Mark and Gann, not sure. So this will be spoiler free. But Oppenheimer is a 3-hour biopic about J. Robert Oppenheimer, the creator of the atom bomb. Essentially what they used in Japan in World War II at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And it is this entire massive biopic, 3 hours long, directed by Christopher Nolan. If you've not heard of Christopher Nolan, he has directed things such as Tenet, Interstellar, Inception, The Dark Knight. Really, really, really classic films, really great films. This movie rocks. This movie is my favorite movie of the year. This movie has a Cillian Murphy and Robert Downey Jr. performance that I think is the best of their careers and the best of the year so far. It is a little long. It could be cut probably by like 30 minutes, and it probably
Did you
would
see
be
Iron Man 2?
even more. Yeah, I think like Iron Man is up there as one of his best performances, but like this is just something completely different, and I've never seen him like this. And I honestly like Iron Man was great for Robert Downey Jr.'s career and one of the best casting decisions Disney Marvel has ever done. But I kind of semi forgot that he could act like this. Like, you know, he is so talented, and like you see it in this movie. He's just allowed to kind of like let loose. And Cillian Murphy is just incredible, just so good in this. And you know, he's been one of my favorites and a Nolan staple, and I'm so glad that he's gotten kind of like the front main character arc of this, and I think that's going to probably take him at least to an Oscar nomination and hopefully a win this year. I loved it. I can't sing enough praises about it. I think my only thing is it's a little too long. Please go see it in the biggest theater possible. The practical effects of this movie are ingenious and some of the coolest stuff I've ever seen on screen, and he did it with no CGI. So it's fascinating how he is able to make movies. The score and the music is fantastic. The cinematography is great. All under the belt things are fantastic in this movie, and I can't wait for it to just be like celebrated all year, because it absolutely should be. So that's
I need
Oppenheimer.
a phrasing check on under
Mhm.
the belt things. What are we
Yeah.
talking about in
Yeah,
reference
so
to this film?
yeah, so when you think of like it's like under the belt, under the line, and I'm thinking of like Oscar categories. So you
Oh, I'm
consider like
thinking of belts.
acting. Yeah, you consider like acting, directing, picture, all like above, and then the bottom is like the technical categories like sound and cinematography and visual effects and everything like that. All kind of like the craft pieces. So that's what I mean. Very, very
Thank
well
you.
made film. So I don't know if Mason or Pat wants to jump in with what they thought.
I mean, I'm one of the biggest like World War II history buffs randomly. I'm fascinated with that period in time. I'm fascinated with the war. I'm fascinated with the effort to build the atomic bomb and the race to build the atomic bomb. So I've been looking forward to this movie for 2 years since they announced that it was going to happen. So to finally see it on screen was amazing. I saw it in IMAX. It was perfect. Shout out to AMC for being an absolute piece of garbage. The AC in the theater didn't work. They had 4 Coke Freestyle machines that you had to pick from, and all of them, 2 of them didn't work, and 2 of them had half of the flavors missing. I got Butterfinger bites, and they were freaking stale and old. It took 20 minutes to get through a line to get concessions. AMC, you're a joke, and I hope you die. I was so mad. I was so mad because I was like looking forward to having a good movie experience, and then they just like ruined it. But the movie was fantastic. I think Christopher Nolan can do no wrong. I'm not a person who's turned off by a long movie, so I get what you're saying, but the ending was what I found most fascinating about the movie, because the lead up to the bomb, you know kind of about that stuff. If you
No spoilers, bro.
I know, no spoilers.
Yeah, what's it about?
It's in history books. There can't be spoilers. I mean, you know
Oklahoma history didn't teach you anything, and I didn't realize we were doing loser MVPs already. So Mason, AMC loser of the week. You know.
No, I still have another one, but it's fine.
Ryan, is Amazon going to buy AMC? Is that still a thing, or do you think movies are so back now that that's no longer in play?
I don't think they were. I don't think that's going to happen at this point. I think if anything, Amazon will probably just like buy like independent theaters and like do it that way. But I don't necessarily see that happening. I could have a very long conversation about this and like where streaming is going versus elsewhere.
Ryan goes, I could have a very long conversation.
Patrick, anything on the movie? All right,
you're on mute.
You gotta love it, baby.
Yeah, that's on me. I thought there were too many plot lines that didn't matter. I thought the last 30 minutes, unlike you, Mason, were just kind of silly and dumb.
Awesome.
Sweet. That's it.
That is so fantastic. Patrick is like, I don't like things that are not real, and then you stick the most real thing in front of them.
I mean, it was a good movie.
No.
It was too long. It was just too long.
I agree. It's a little long. And the last 30 minutes are not going to be everyone's favorite, but they're some pretty powerful, pretty not important. Is that what you said? I highly disagree with that. But anyway, let's continue.
Okay. All right. PGP MVP of the week time. Thank you, Ryan, for a great must watch. Matt, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I'm going to go soccer here because I know another guy is going to go soccer here as well. But I'm going to go Messi. First game playing for the MLS team, Inter Miami, scoring a beautiful Patrick-esque free kick in the stoppage time of their game. You couldn't have written a better script for his first game, getting a game-winning free kick. Absolutely gorgeous. And actually right now they're up 4-0. Messi got a goal in the 22nd minute. He's going to go down as one of the best ever, and he can continue to play to his 50s playing the MLS, and he's proven why he can do it anywhere in the world. Messi.
Patrick.
I think there was just a little too much Dylan Gabriel slander on the pod today, so I'm going to make Dylan my MVP of the week. I have faith. It's It's his second year at Oklahoma. We're expecting
what
a lot
reason?
from a second-year quarterback, right? Like, I understand that he knew the offense. I understand he knew Jeff Lebby, but it was a new environment for him. So I'm very excited to see what he does in his second year. I think that's something that people are counting out. It's his second year at OU, and it's his final year in college. He will be a baller.
Love it, Patrick. My LVP of the week is going to be the Miami Dolphins social media team. They have got to be one of the worst social media teams on planet Earth. They have one job, and it's to push out social content. Patrick of Program Guys Productions puts out more social content than they do, and they started training camp on Tuesday. They didn't tweet a single thing or piece of content until 4:00 in the afternoon. They had players showing up all morning long. They didn't tweet anything about it. They're a joke. The social team needs to be fired. They've been bad for like 3 years. They're a joke. They're bad. I'm done with them. LVP of the week, Miami Dolphins social team. Ryan?
Yeah, so I know I already talked about Oppenheimer, but I'm going to do it again. My MVP is movies in general. This box office, everyone's like shaking their head, and I don't know why you guys always do this, because this shit
We're talking
rocks.
about
So-
movies for 10 minutes already.
Yeah, no, we haven't. We've talked about it for like 5. Chill out. Anyway, so this weekend, Barbie and Oppenheimer went to theaters, and Barbie made $162 million in 3 days, and Oppenheimer made $82 million in 3 days. That is the 4th largest domestic box office weekend in history of box office tracking, and that the only things that it comes behind are the weekend of Avengers Endgame, Avengers Infinity War, and Star Wars The Force Awakens, all Disney properties, all established IP, all sequels. So I'm just giving it up to movies. Movies are back, baby. This is my LVP is all the losers that thought that movies died at the pandemic. And I know Mark's going to jump in here. I'm going to say specifically original movies died at the pandemic. These are 2 original films, which is awesome. That's all.
Great. Love
Didn't
it.
want to jump in. You can qualify it on your own.
Mark.
Yeah, I'm also going to go LVP on today. So if you're listening yesterday, the PASS Act, Protecting Athletes, Schools, and Sports Act of 2023 was introduced by Senators Joe Manchin and Tommy Tuberville. You might remember Tommy Tuberville from such college football accolades as walking out on a dinner full of Texas Tech recruits when he decided to take another job instead of standing there and telling them to their faces what he was doing. There are 2 specific parts of the PASS Act that I want to zero in on that make me not a big fan. We're going to start with a piece of it that is a little further down in the act. Plenty of people have pointed this out, but in the proposed bill, it would require student athletes to complete their first 3 years of academic eligibility before allowing them to transfer without penalty, subject to a few exceptions, which involve the head coach leaving and the position coach leaving. But they're basically saying if you're a player, you're signing up to play for 3 seasons no matter what. So we want to take this cat that we let out of the bag and stuff it right back in this bag and restrict the free labor market. That's what you're doing there, because any 18, 19, 20-year-old is allowed to change their place of employment at will. You want them to stay there, give them a contract. Specifically, the PASS Act doesn't let that happen. We're not looking out for the players. Here's another line that it bothers me quite a little bit. Specifically, the PASS Act would protect student athletes by, there's a line, and then establishing a national standard for NIL. You know what that tells me is regulation on how much is allowed to these children. And by the time they get there, they're no longer children. By the time they get there, these are now big boy adults who are able to make big boy decisions. And if the market says that they can make money, they should be allowed to make money. This bill is a piece of garbage. It doesn't protect players. It protects the schools. If these politicians were doing their jobs for I don't know, players of publicly funded universities, they would be looking to protect them and not just protecting the schools. It's absurd. They're the ones who make the money. They finally have a little bit of freedom. And the only idea is to stifle that. My LVPs, Senators Joe Manchin and Tommy Tuberville.
Love it. Let us know down below in the comments who your PGP, MVP, or LVP of the week is. And with that, folks, that's going to do it. Episode number 81 is in the books. Be sure to like, subscribe on our YouTube channel. You can follow us on Twitter, Program Guys with Z, Instagram, Program Guys with Z, our Facebook page, Program Guys Podcast, on TikTok at Program Guys, on Threads at Program Guys. However you find us, that's where you get us, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all of that good stuff. Folks, we will see you next week. We're inching closer and closer to football. It's almost here. Pat, take us out.
Keep pushing it, baby.
3, 2, 1, go!